up, guys? I'm Nick,
I'm Robbie.
and today we're talking about NIL deals and how they affect sports. The podcast that I chose was by MMG, and he talks about sports, what's going on recently in sports, and we're just going to get right into it. Do you have any prior knowledge to NIL deals?
Like a little. I played college sports for like about a month. Yeah, till I got hurt last year. We have we had like a week long like class and like with the NCAA about like how to go about like signing deals, like what we can and can't do. I know I signed with Barstool for a little bit, and they give us like free merchandise and stuff like that. And as you get like higher and higher up, as like you get more followers and stuff like that, you can get like money and start getting like checks from them and like doing brand deals, stuff like that. I know a little bit about NIL, but I think it's getting a little out of hand, personally.
It is. So the topic that MMG brought up in his video was that NIL deals, he thinks that the NCAA will not benefit from these deals. So we're going to argue that they will benefit and the benefits that the athletes can get. So one point that he brings up was that it doesn't matter how good you are at the sport, it matters about your following. And the other side of this argument would be that these athletes bring in so much money and for their schools, so they deserve to be paid. And it really is a full-time job, and especially with the bigger schools bringing in a lot of money without these athletes getting any of the revenue. And these big players who are getting these deals are usually very good and have a very strong fan base already. So, you have anything to say on that topic?
I think some of it's like a little like much. I know you look up like Bryce Young and like guys like that, they're making like millions and millions of dollars on that stuff versus like guys on their team maybe like aren't doing that. So I don't know if it like creates a weird dynamic in like the locker room and stuff like that. But what do you think about like stuff like that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Another side is that that money is, these deals are equitable, so it's around 50% men and 50% women. I think actually women I think it's a 60-40 actually, but money is not equitable in this situation. So deals like the bigger companies like Nike and Lamborghini, etc., are focusing on these huge football players and their names, and this can create like a big controversy, I feel like, especially with laws being in place right now about how there's 50-50 the money that gets directed for scholarships and other stuff for men and women. So we're just gonna have to see how that plays out in the future, and I think that the NIL deals will ruin that, and I think we're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah, going back to your thing about like how big your like following is, like what do you think it like affects with like the men versus women? Like I know sports, like girls don't like have football in college and stuff like that, and that's like a big market for NIL deals. Like how do you think it affects like that side? I know MMG talked about it like a little bit, like talking about like, I think personally like getting an NIL deal talks about like your following and like your fan base, so like how big you are on like social media and stuff like that. So like when you see like guys like Bryce Young or like verified on Instagram, stuff like that, and like I don't know who's like a big time female athlete. Livy Dunn, like for LSU.
The Canada Twins.
Yeah, the Twins. There's a bunch of like volleyball players at like Nebraska and stuff like that. There's like 2 twin girls. And they're just like famous on social media like already, so like they're targets for like NIL deals. So I think when the argument talks about like how it's unfair for men and women, I think that really just like is how you are seen like on social media, and like how many followers you have, like because they're not going to give a deal to like somebody if they play football at Alabama that only has like 2,000 followers versus like a girl at like maybe a smaller school that's got like 100,000. They're going to be reaching more people about like the company if it's like sportswear, stuff like that, or like Gatorade. They're going to be showing that to like a different amount of people, and I think that's what it comes down to when people argue that like it's unfair for men and women.
Yeah, I agree. And then shifting our topic to the transfer portal, which it's a big switch, but MMG didn't really focus on the transfer portal aspect in his video. But I think that it's going to affect NCAA in a huge way because in the NFL, right, you can't just switch teams. You know, you're unhappy. You can't just get up and leave for the more money. You have to stick with it because there's salary caps. NIL deals, there's no salary caps. So there's no way to monitor money right now. There's no way to stop players from leaving. And so that just comes with both sides. Like if you're a big school, you're not going to have enough money to give out to, say, 10 different players. But if you're at a smaller school, you can bring in that big 5-star athlete for a lot of money. For example, South Carolina, we brought in a huge Nicholas Harbor. We brought in the best #1 athlete in the country, and he's gonna get a huge NIL deal, whether it's from the boosters at our school, whether it's from a huge company, Under Armour, Nike.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on all those, the transfer portal?
I think the transfer portal is kind of dumb, personally. I think because, like, you know, ever since COVID happened, it's like kind of when it started getting big, like when you got like extra years of eligibility. I think, you know, like being in high school when we were like that and like getting recruited, COVID kind of ruined a lot of things, and then the transfer portal kind of like ruined it even more because like schools are gonna rather have a kid who's like 23 with years of experience versus in like an 18-year-old coming out of high school. So I think it kind of ruins like recruiting for high school kids. So like you got to be like the top to like get a big offer from somebody. Because I mean, if you look at college football, you look at like Stetson Bennett's like what, like 26 years old.
Yeah.
And playing football still because of like all the rules and stuff like that. So I mean, like the kids who are like wanting to go to Georgia to go play quarterback, say when they were 18 and Stetson was like 20, I mean, that's like no longer like a possibility for them. Yeah. And I think it like messes up recruiting a lot. I mean, I'm kind of against the whole NIL deal thing, other than like I want to get the NCAA video game back because I love that video game.
Yeah.
So I think I should get paid for that. But I think it's kind of turning more into like the NFL and stuff like that, being like free agents and stuff like that. But I mean, it can be a good thing at times. You know, I personally think your school should like compensate them like as like almost salaries, and like, you know, because they're putting their bodies on the line for them to like bring in money and stuff like that. So they should get some of that revenue that schools get. But I don't know if like Lamborghini should be giving kids cars at like 18 and stuff like that, so they can just rep their brand.
I agree, and that's the big topic that's circulating the sports world right now is NIL deals and how can we pay athletes for taking on a full-time job when they have no extra time, barely any time for school, but without it becoming a game
It's like
changer.
lucrative a little bit.
Yeah. It's a really tough situation, and there's definitely points on either side. You know, one side of it is athletes deserve to be paid money, and then there's the other side of, well, how much can they get paid, or are they just going to get up and leave their fan base because they're going to get a huge offer at a smaller school, or this big school offered them a huge deal. So it's all very relatively new, and it's been 3 years, I think, and like we talked about earlier with gender equality stuff as well, we just really have no idea what laws are going to be put in place to make sure everything's even. And so yeah, I'm very excited to look into this topic for the rest of the year, and this podcast helped me see both sides. And
come back for episode 2.
Yeah, let's do it.